In the middle of an indigenous village in the Peruvian Amazon, Ore writes a letter to one of his closest friends, telling him how the situation in the region is getting worse every day. In his message, he reveals that animals are being hunted and sold as if they were human property, and thanks to all these macabre practices, only one black jaguar currently lives in the forest, but its days are numbered. Nearby, Anya manages her large squad of hunters and employees, who transport the animals they have captured. At that moment, one of the group members says they are close to capturing the black jaguar, and upon hearing the news, the woman feels excited. What they don't realize is that the rare predator is right next to them, watching them from behind the bushes. At home, Saul reads the letter he received from his friend Ore, and at that moment, he is surprised by Autumn, his daughter, who asks what he is doing awake so late once again. Determined to keep the letter a secret, Saul says he is just doing some research for his thesis and changes the subject. At the same time, the news shows a report on all the deforestation being caused by Anya, who says that since her activities are generating jobs and resources, she has no intention of stopping. In her room, Autumn removes the rug from the floor and continues the painting she has been working on for the past few days. While painting, the girl remembers when she was younger and used to have fun around the forest, but one day, during her walks in the area, she found a lost black jaguar cub on the riverbank. To comfort it, Autumn showed that she meant it no harm and sat down next to it on a pile of plants, which began to float along the river. As the hours passed, the two became great friends, and the young girl decided to name her new pet Hope. At dusk, Autumn hears her parents walking through the forest looking for her and calls out to them so they can find her more easily. After rescuing the girl, the couple realizes that the cub must belong to the black jaguar that was shot earlier, and Saul explains that hunting in the region is making life in the forest increasingly dangerous. Back in the present, Autumn arrives in her classroom for another day of school, where teacher Doria announces that it is time to begin the lesson, which involves dissecting some frogs. Upon hearing this, the young woman is outraged and tries to call the animal abuse hotline, but the woman stops her and orders her to go to the principal's office immediately. After this confusion, Autumn hangs up some posters saying that the mistreatment must stop, and leaves to interact with the animals around one of the city parks. Hours later, the girl returns home, where she talks to her friend about what happened at school, saying she was expelled. In addition, Autumn tells the girl that she will be moving in with her grandmother, as her father was extremely angry with his daughter's behavior. During the call, the young woman finds a document from Saul outside the drawer and decides to end the conversation to check what it is. Upon examining the package, Autumn notices that her father received a letter from Ore, in which the indigenous man says that they are trying to deal with the current situation, even though Ellie is no longer with them. At that moment, it is revealed that the girl's mother was a famous environmental activist for animal protection, who was eliminated by evil people during one of her missions. In addition to finding all the drawings, photographs, and newspaper articles from the time they lived in the forest, Autumn realizes that her father has been receiving letters from Ore for some time, and, outraged, she goes to confront him at his office. Furious at having his work interrupted, the man orders his daughter to go home, saying they will talk about it later, but she refuses to do so. The young woman then tells him that the black panther mentioned by Ore could be none other than Hope, her pet panther cub, whom her father had promised would be safe. These questions make Saul even more angry, and he orders Autumn to go home. Devastated, the girl begins to remember all the moments she spent with her mother, as well as the moment they held her funeral, and the day they said goodbye to the native peoples of the forest. So Autumn makes a drastic decision, and after packing her things, she goes to Doria's office at her school and asks for her cell phone back. Noticing the girl's strange behavior, the woman asks her what she is planning to do, and tired of all those questions, the young woman grabs Kitten, Doria's little porcupine, and threatens to throw it out the window. In a panic, the teacher begs her not to do it, saying that this is not how Autumn treats animals. Hearing this, the girl gives up on continuing with all that, and at that moment, a notification appears on her cell phone, displaying a ticket to the Amazon. This news leaves Doria extremely confused, and taking advantage of the distraction, Autumn grabs her cell phone and leaves. Believing that her student may end up in serious trouble, the woman despairs and calls her mother, saying she needs help. Meanwhile, Autumn walks toward the airport, and during a call with her grandmother, she decides to lie, saying she is going to her friend Riley's house. After convincing the elderly woman to cover up what she is doing, the young woman boards the flight to the Amazon, and at that moment, Doria arrives at the airport with her mother. The woman quickly tries to buy tickets for the same flight as Autumn, but the plane is already closed, and in order to continue with her plan, she decides that she will try to find the girl during the connection between flights, which will be in Miami. However, The attendant explains that Doria will not be able to take her porcupine, and upon hearing this, she is shocked. Realizing that she has no choice but to leave her pet in the care of the airport, the woman hands the animal over to the attendant and boards the plane. Noticing that her teacher has followed her to her flight, Autumn feels angry and tries to remain hidden, but as soon as the aircraft takes off and the seatbelt signs go off, Doria sets out to look for her. Within seconds, the young woman is found by her teacher, who tries to convince her to give up running away from home, but she claims that she is not doing that, but rather leaving to protect an old friend. In addition, Autumn says that Doria cannot stop her from reaching her destination, since Kitten has been placed in the luggage compartment and cannot be removed during the connection. This news outrages the woman, and as soon as they finish their trip, Doria approaches Autumn and states that her only choice is to be reported to the police or return home with her, as she will not allow the young woman to continue with this. Realizing that she is running out of options, the girl pretends to be feeling ill, and, concerned, the woman takes her student to the bathroom, where the young woman tries to escape through the window. Autumn quickly runs to one of the vehicles, and even though she believes she has managed to escape from her teacher, Doria does not give up and chases after the truck, managing to catch up with her. At the end of the trip, the pair arrive at the region where the girl lived when she was younger, and in order to find the native people, Autumn enters the forest, accompanied by her teacher. As soon as they arrive at one of the docks in the region, Doria begs her student to call Saul, as the man deserves at least to know where she is. However, even though she makes the call, Autumn decides to lie, saying she is still at her grandmother's house, and before her teacher can stop her, she throws the phone into the river. This attitude infuriates Doria, and when she is reprimanded for her actions, the young woman claims that she is doing all this to protect Hope. Realizing that her student's intentions are kind, the woman decides to help her, and during the boat trip, the pair encounters several boatmen trying to sell animals that have been captured in the region. Autumn then explains that this is why she is coming to this place, as the forest is increasingly endangered by all the practices carried out by humans. After crossing the area with the boatman, the girl thanks him for the ride, and at that moment, she is welcomed by members of the Awaha tribe. Upon reuniting with the daughter of his great friend, Ore feels excited, and the girl reveals that she tricked her father so she could go to them and help rescue Hope before the hunters could harm her. However, the man tells her that this is not the right thing to do, and that since she has become an adult animal, the black jaguar may not even recognize her former companion. Saddened by Ore's response, Autumn walks away. Nearby, Celia and Autumn arrive at the old treehouse, where the young woman used to have fun with Hope. However, as she approaches the structure, the girl is surprised by a black jaguar, which attacks her shoulder and runs away. In a panic, Celia screams for help, and after rescuing the young women, Ore takes care of the girl's injuries. Upon discovering that Hope is a black jaguar who lived alongside her student in the forest, Doria is shocked and goes to talk to Ore. The man explains that the animal is not only in danger, it has no chance of survival, as a huge organized crime group has been illegally selling and transporting animals, which has become the third most valuable criminal practice in the world. The problem is that if Autumn tries to stop those groups from catching the black jaguar, she has a high chance of being eliminated, just as her mother was in the past. Sometime later, Autumn sleeps in a hammock, without even imagining that she is being watched by the black jaguar. Suddenly, the young woman wakes up feeling something strange, and as she looks around, she sees the predator running away. Realizing that the Awahara member has fallen asleep, she sets off to chase the animal, and believing that it might be Hope, she calls out her name. In a few seconds, Autumn finds some footprints left by the feline, and after following the tracks, she comes across the adult black jaguar. Despite trying to get the animal to recognize her, the young woman is unable to convince the predator, who flees the scene, leaving her extremely disappointed. The next day, Ore meets with Autumn and Doria in their village and tells them that he will take them away in a truck, which will come to pick them up in the afternoon. At that moment, a hunter arrives in his pickup truck and reveals that his boss is not happy with the protests carried out by the Awaharas. Therefore, the man states that if they continue to oppose the activities they intend to carry out, they will be putting themselves in danger, and after threatening them, he leaves. Realizing that the situation will soon worsen, Ore orders the pair to follow him to the truck immediately. The trio then heads toward the vehicle, unaware that they are being followed by the black jaguar, which sneaks up behind them. Before leaving, Autumn asks Ore to promise that he will protect Hope, and he replies that he will do everything possible. Noticing that the girl is about to leave, the black jaguar continues to chase the vehicle, and as soon as the animal sees her, Autumn gives up on leaving and jumps out of the vehicle. Outraged by her student's stubbornness, Doria yells at the driver to stop the vehicle, but despite complying with her request, the man says he is tired of the woman and decides to kick her out. This makes the teacher even more furious, but when she notices that Kitten is no longer in her travel bag, she becomes desperate. In the middle of the forest, Autumn comes across the black jaguar watching her from the bushes and bends down to try to help her remember her. At the same time, Doria comes across her student facing the animal, and suddenly, the predator runs towards her. At that moment, Autumn confirms that it was indeed Hope, who hugs her and begins to play with her friend after so much time apart. Shocked by what she is seeing, Doria decides to record the reunion and is moved when she realizes that everything her student was saying was true. However, the happy moment is suddenly interrupted by a shootout, which begins in the middle of the forest, scaring Hope away. Realizing that they are about to be eliminated by a pair of crazed hunters, Autumn and Doria run desperately through the area while trying to follow Hope, who jumps into the water to hide. As soon as they reach the small cliff, the girl says they need to continue their journey through the water and dives into the river. Although reluctant, Doria knows she has no choice and follows her student, who is impressed by her teacher's determination to protect her. After swimming a few meters, the pair manage to lose the hunters and continue their escape, while Hope sneaks along the river. Sometime later, the travelers encounter the black jaguar and try to rest on the riverbank, but suddenly they are surprised by a giant snake. Without wasting any time, Hope climbs one of the trees to protect herself, and Doria asks Autumn to do the same, saying she will be right behind her. However, just as she is about to climb up, the woman loses her courage and freezes in front of the huge snake, which is preparing to attack her. Realizing that her companions are in danger, Hope jumps from the top of the tree and scares the animal, which returns to the river, leaving Doria relieved. Taking advantage of the fact that the predatory snake has retreated, Autumn helps her teacher escape, and sometime later, the trio climbs one of the mountains in the region, using trees and vines to get around. Doria then asks what her student intends to do with the black jaguar, and the girl replies that she will take it to the ecological corridor, where Hope can live in her natural habitat while being protected by the guards. After a long climb, the travelers finally reach the top, and the woman is amazed to see the incredible view of the region. Now that they are safe, the group finds a spot where they can lie down and have a safe place to sleep without the hunters finding them. The next day, Autumn has fun with Hope on the riverbank while Doria records the pair's leisure activities, but at that moment, they hear the group of hunters approaching. Quickly, the girl orders her teacher to crouch behind one of the trees, and at the same time, the black jaguar brings a kind of hollow wood to her friend, who uses the object to breathe underwater. Thanks to this, the pair of hunters pass through the area without seeing their targets, and now that they are safe again, they continue their journey. During the walk, Doria asks if Autumn knows where they are going, but the girl admits that she was just following her jaguar and is as lost as she is. Desperate, the woman tries to convince her student to take some other action so they can get out of that forest, since they may end up being eliminated by hunger or other predators in the region. At that moment, Autumn begins to feel a sharp pain in her foot and falls to the ground. Doria quickly picks up her student in her arms and carries her to a safe place so they can figure out what is happening. After removing the girl's boot, the teacher notices that she has a bruise on her ankle and asks her to sit down while she goes to look for some supplies. Autumn stays with Hope, and after collecting some coconuts and herbs from the jungle, Doria returns to her student and begins to prepare the bandage she learned from Ore. The black jaguar then moves away to lie down beside them, and feeling sad about everything that is happening to her teacher, the young woman says she is sorry that the woman is no longer with Kitten. Upon hearing this, Doria recounts that one night, while she was in her apartment, she heard the sound of tires skidding on the street, and shortly thereafter, the injured hedgehog entered her home. The woman explains that when she came across the injured little creature, she decided to call the veterinarian, who said that the animal needed immediate attention, otherwise it would perish from its injuries. This situation prompted Doria to leave her home, something she had not done in over 2 years, as she was suffering from severe depression. Thanks to this sudden change, the woman found the strength to start her career as a teacher, and since then, she has never left home without her great companion Kitten by her side. This story leaves Autumn pensive, and after the conversation, Doria asks her student to try to get some sleep. In the morning, the group continues their journey, and the woman carries her student on her back. Suddenly, Hope begins to behave strangely, and believing that the black jaguar wants her to follow it, Autumn asks Doria to put her down. The young woman sneaks a few meters ahead of the predator, and as she does so, they come across Anya and her group of criminals, who update their leader on the animals that have been recently captured. Shocked by all this, Doria decides to record everything she can with her cell phone, but while watching the criminals, Autumn sees Celia handing a baby crocodile to one of the men and screams in surprise. After spotting the intruders, Anya sees Hope hiding in the bushes and orders her hunters to try to capture her, as this is the animal she has been looking for some time. Desperate, Autumn runs alongside her jaguar, and trying to obtain as much evidence as possible, Doria remains hidden and records the hunter chasing the girl. In a few seconds, the pair ends up surrounded by hunters, and upon seeing Hope being hit by the tranquilizer dart, the girl falls into a state of despair. Soon after, the criminals take Autumn and the black jaguar to their leader, and realizing that she needs to act to protect her student, Doria tries to find an escape route so she can seek help. At that moment, Celia appears on a quad bike, and despite knowing that the woman does not trust her, the young woman claims that they are too far from any inhabited place, so she needs a vehicle to get around. Irritated, Doria orders the young woman to move to the back seat and drives the ATV wildly toward the Awahara's village, which they find in the middle of the road. Meanwhile, Autumn is taken away in a convoy of vehicles belonging to the criminals, and tries to comfort Hope, saying that she will not allow them to harm her. Without wasting any time, the woman explains everything she saw to Ore and shows him the recording on her cell phone. Realizing the gravity of the situation, the man orders Doria to take the video to Channel 31, since the station is close to the village, and asks where the criminals are going. Celia then replies that the group is heading towards the farm, and upon realizing that his daughter was participating in illegal activities, Ore is disappointed. Trying to explain herself, the young woman says she was just trying to buy her own cell phone, but the man does not want to listen and asks her to take them to the criminals immediately. So, the members of the Awahara tribe head towards the location, while Doria enters the recording studio of Channel 31 to alert the entire population. After showing the recording, the woman says that Autumn may end up being eliminated just like her mother, and asks the inhabitants to help them confront these criminals, as they are trying to destroy everything that is good on the planet. In a few seconds, the entire population of the region is moved by Doria's speech, and as soon as they arrive at the farm, Anya and her hunters are surprised by the members of the Awahara. Quickly, the men point their guns at the natives, and the woman orders them to eliminate those people immediately. However, before they can do so, the criminals begin to hear more people approaching, and in a few seconds, dozens of residents and police officers appear from all sides. This causes the hunters to be easily surrendered, and as they watch Anya, the corrupt police officers, and all the other cowardly hunters being arrested by the authorities, the inhabitants of the region shout together, declaring that the people united will never be defeated. With the ambush complete, everyone lines up to create a path for Hope, who runs toward the forest after being freed. Excited that they have finally defeated the environmental criminals, Autumn hugs her teacher, and after saying goodbye to her Awahara friends, she sets off into the jungle alongside her black jaguar companion. As she watches her student leave, Doria sees something emerging from the bushes and is extremely happy to notice that Kitten is still alive and has returned unharmed to his owner. Days later, Autumn meets her father at her mother's grave, and after talking with Ellie for a while, she hugs Saul, who says they will return to live in that region, because from now on, they have good reason to say that the jungle is their true home. So what did you think of this movie? Leave it in the comments below. And if you liked the video, like and subscribe for more movie recaps. See you next time.